totally motivated to draw and paint a lot more than that. And it's quite nice seeing other people's work and that as well,
Yeah,
what they do.
that's good. So, do you think that you've found kind of like a sort of sense of community online, posting your art on there and stuff?
Um, yeah, I would have said so. I think I found people who have similar interests and similar styles to what I do and my art, and that's quite nice to see.
That's good. So, um, do you think the people online tend to hang out in kind of groups of similar art and stuff? Because I think I've found that anyway, that if you kind of do one particular style, then a lot of people who are interested in that kind of thing, they have a little group, and there's kind of a few other people that you kind of know in that style or whatever.
Yeah, I would have said around about the same. I'd say like people who follow me follow similar people to
Mm.
what I do and that as well. So yeah, I would say like in generally like most people follow each other who have like a particular style as well.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, I'm just going to quickly check the chat because I think we might be having some issues. Hang on. Let me just. Um, okay.
Right.
um, okay. Um, yeah, just keep me updated in the chat if there's still anything weird happening. But yeah, just let me know. I think it might be okay now, but we'll see. So do you find that people have been sort of helpful online? Do you think that people sort of, I don't know, offer criticism in a good way, constructive criticism, or do you think that people are just generally supportive, or do you find that people don't really comment that much, or do you think that, what do you think about the way that people interact online to do with art and stuff?
Well, the experience what I've had is mostly positive. Like I don't really get any like constructive criticism. Normally, somebody tells us if they really like something, they'll tell us, but it's not like I think you could be person that I don't think it's that type of place to do that sometimes, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, I think that maybe that only happens if you specifically kind of ask for it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
I've never
yeah,
really,
I think it is for her.
yeah, I've never really experienced any sort of criticism posting work online or anything like that. Um, so would you say that it's generally quite a sort of positive experience?
Yeah, I would say it's quite a positive experience. I didn't expect the amount of like positivity and that's around Instagram because of like other social media and that it doesn't seem to be that. But saying that I've only really used Instagram in the like kind of art community, so I can't really comment on the rest of Instagram, but things in the art community seems quite positive and nice around there or her.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I think, um, I mean, I only use Instagram for art pretty much, so I can't really say about, say, some people say that like social media can be like really damaging and bad for your mental health and stuff like that. But I've never really experienced that through just posting sort of artwork and things. But I don't know if that would maybe be different if you were, I don't know, sharing more things about sort of how you look, or sort of more personal things about yourself that you maybe are more worried about criticism for. I could see how that might be different, but I've never really had any bad experiences through sharing art on Instagram or anything like that. I don't know about you.
So far, I would say about the same really. I haven't really had any bad experiences or anything like that.
Yeah,
Being mostly positive, just like surprises, to be honest.
yeah. So do you think that what you were expecting, do you think it was as you expected, sort of posting artwork online, or do you think that there's been anything that you haven't expected to sort of experience or feel after doing it?
Um, Definitely wasn't what I expected because I wasn't expected to get the growth and like the likes and the comments that I have. So that was quite a surprise to us. So, but it's quite nice to say that people do appreciate my artwork, and even if that's only like a small group of people, it's still nice, if that makes sense. So,
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. I think that art's one of those things where, people sort of say like, you know, some people might never have seen the best painting in the world or heard the best song ever because it's never been shared. So I think that there's a bit of a balance to find between sort of sharing things online and keeping things for yourself and things like that. Like I know I've found that when making art. The only thing that I would say about that is just that it's made us sort of sometimes create work differently, if that makes sense. Like I sometimes make things that I think that people want to see on Instagram rather than things that I actually would just do for me, if that makes sense. I don't know what you think about that.
yeah, I would say the same, but some pictures that I have posted online have got a lot of good response, which I was quite surprised with. So I think I posted one of the pieces and I thought, I'm not sure about this, I'm not keen on it.
Mm.
And then it's like more like post, so
I think,
that was quite a genuine surprise to
yeah,
us.
I think that a lot of people often say things like that where they'll post things and think like, oh, I'll just put it out there anyway, and then it ends up being something that they're not that keen on, but everybody seems to
Yeah,
like. So I don't know if it maybe is something that can maybe end up shaping you to do things that you maybe weren't expecting to do in the first place. And sometimes that might be a good thing, but sometimes I think as a creative, it's maybe like, it stops you from just doing things for you and being sort of true to yourself, if that makes sense.
yeah. I think I try not to think about what people want rather than what I would like to create and just put out there and either people like it or not. But generally speaking, I think now that I've been doing it for a little while, I kind of got a rough idea of what most people would like to see in that,
Mm,
if that makes sense.
yeah, it does. Yeah. Um. So, um, I know that you've been posting like some of the kind of videos of you actually painting and stuff as well, which are really cool on Instagram. So how did you go about filming those, and did you find it difficult, or yeah, just tell us a little bit about the process of doing that.
Um, yeah, I've been trying to do that because sometimes I like to see, like, I don't know about you, but as an artist, I like to see, like, the process of how some people create the work, especially artists that you really like. So I thought I'd give it a try. To be honest, at the minute, it's quite hard because I'm still trying to figure out and set up a little bit, but I'm hopefully, when I do, I want to do, like, a time lapse of, like, start to finish of one of my, like, particularly like a painting of mine,
Yeah,
what I wanted to do.
that's really cool.
But
That I think
I
people,
don't know if it's going to happen in
yeah.
this COVID of a room,
So do
but
you
we
just
can only try.
do you just film them like in your room and stuff, or do you use like a camera, or do you use your phone, or what kind of stuff do you use to film it?
Um, well, currently I'm just using this camera here to film it on a tripod, so it's quite good, but sometimes, like, the problem is with my tripod, I have it, like, quite close up my chair, so every time I lay from the chair back, it will just lay. I can get something similar to that.
Fair enough. Yeah. Um. So do you think that I mean, I guess you could always just try using your tripod the same way, but you'd have to leave in exactly the same place from like start to finish on a painting or a drawing or whatever. I feel like that would be really difficult to do. But
Yeah.
maybe you could just try it with something shorter to start with, something that takes you less time, and then see how far you get with it and whether it's actually viable or whether you do need to
Yeah.
sort of invest in something else.
Yeah, because I think the last video that I posted on there was like an A3 painting that I'm currently working on. That was quite difficult, at least A4, A5, like
Mm,
be a little bit more realistic, but
mm.
I just really wanted to try. But I think it was semi-successful, but
I think it looks really
I
good.
don't know.
It looks great to me.
Yeah,
I think there's something.
yeah, I've got the
It's sort of there's something
pencil
interesting
here.
about. Oh, that looks great. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's possible, but hopefully I should have finished in the day.
It looks awesome. So, but I know that a lot of your other works
Thank you.
digital. It's alright. I know that a lot of your other works digital and stuff. So I'm pretty sure you use a graphics tablet and things. But I know that a lot of people think that a hobby like drawing or painting or art in general can be really expensive. What do you think about that? And I mean, just thinking about, getting something like a graphics tablet,
Mhm.
do you have any recommendations for, say, cheaper supplies, or do you think that it has to be expensive, or what do you think about it?
I think if it's a hobby, you can make it as expensive as you want, but I don't think that a lot of expensive equipment to make good art, because I think you've got to learn how to use tools first, because I suppose it's like a chef. If you have the most expensive product, it doesn't mean that you do going to taste great. If that makes sense, it doesn't mean
Definitely.
you have the most expensive equipment is going to produce great art.
I think that's true.
Because I still use like cheapish kind of art supplies and that,
Mm,
and like good and great art supplies, especially quite good for like beginners and hobbyists, because they're good quality, but they're not like really expensive, like watercolors and like quality markers and stuff like that. So
definitely.
yeah,
I think that's really good
it
advice.
doesn't have to be expensive.
Yeah. I think that you know, finding those like student quality materials, if it says like student quality and stuff on them, it usually means that it's sort of, a bit better than like, say, amateur materials, but not as good as something that, it's mad when you see like tubes of paint that maybe are like, you could get like a £2 absolute beginner thing of paint, and then a student one might be like £5 or £8 for a tube, and then your professional quality might be like 20 quid for like a tiny tube of watercolor or something like that, and you're like, you can see why people think that it is expensive, but I think that
Yeah,
sometimes those things help you to make good art, but I don't think that you have to have expensive stuff to be able to be a good
yeah,
artist. I think that the sort of practice and talent makes up more than that.
yeah. With the expensive stuff, it's normally more expensive because it's got good like light fastness and pigments in the colours, which can last 500 years plus, and especially when you're beginning. You're not wanting that work that lasts 500 years unless it's just like the Mona Lisa or something.
Yeah,
So it's
exactly.
kind of pointless. So
Yeah,
main watercolors, it's nice to have quality markers. I do have a little collection of quality, but it doesn't mean it's really expensive. Art and now manufacturers and that making really good like basic and cheap art supplies now. don't need expensive stuff to begin with.
Yeah, I agree. So what about your graphics tablet? What kind of graphics tablet do you have, and do you think that you need to have a super good one, or did you find a good deal online or something like that?
Well, I did start out with a bamboo one, and now I've got a rock on Twist, which is like the latest like entry-level hobbyist one, which is pretty good for me. I've seen a lot of like budget, like Chinese brands and that, and people have to use some artists as well. I was rating that and some artists and like, no, this is not very good. I think something really disclaim on when you're beginning out because they're really expensive and unless it's professional, you just don't really need it because like what someone can cost like up to grand and that's for like 24 and just like overkill lasting personally.
Yeah, I think it just depends on how much you'll use it and what you're going to need it for and how detailed you need things to be and how sensitive you need them to be and stuff like that. Um, like
Yeah,
I have a really old one that, is fine for what I use it for. I probably could upgrade and things and probably should really, but I've never really had any problems with it, so haven't needed to.
yeah, definitely, yeah.
I think we are having a couple of stream issues. I think it's kind of,
Right.
I think it's kind of just sort of clipping a bit or something. I'm just gonna see if I can um fix it a little bit. Ooh, um, let's hope that that does something. But yeah, we'll see. Um, okay, so do you have any favorite art supplies that you really like? On that sort of note, is there anything that you feel like you couldn't live without? Or is there something that you use so much that you would just recommend it to everybody?
You made like medium budget, but like general art supply.
Anything really. Just is there something that came into your head really, I guess, that you think is something that everybody should consider?
Well, you see, it depends because, especially with traditional art, there's so many types of like mediums, and you could go for pastels, oils, to acrylic, anything. But for me personally, I really like watercolors. I've used them from the start, and I've tried to fix them up. I can use them, but I just kind of get away with them. I just don't enjoy it as much as watercolors. And I've tried like gouache before. I think that's how it's pronounced.
People pronounce it differently.
Like, I know it's like gouache or something else. I can't remember. I haven't really like gouache for highlights and that in the drawing. But I get really frustrated with gouache made because it's just totally a different thing. Watercolors.
Gouache is really weird. If you're not used to it, it's strange. It is bizarre.
Yeah, because it's like, because obviously I'm used to like when I'm using watercolors on the pigments there, it's why you can use it up. It's too much a little bit, if that makes sense. You can like rewet and rework it. And sometimes that can be a good thing, but that can be like a really disadvantage if you're not used to it.
Yeah.
So
I think the best
definitely practice.
the best thing about gouache for me is that you can get really flat colours really easily. They're really good for like sort of if you make them into like a nice paste kind of thing when you're using them, and then
Yeah,
if you're applying like a big area of flat colour or something, like I know in a lot of my work I try and either replicate like old screen prints and things like that generally are quite flat colours, so I quite like gouache.
yeah,
But it is odd.
Yeah.
It is just bizarre. It's like somewhere in between watercolor and acrylic, but like thinner and thicker, and like you can do more with it, and it has a bit of a mind of its own and things. So I only use it
Yeah.
occasionally, and I
I
use
think
it
those
for,
papers are absolutely wonderful what they want.
yeah, I think
But
I just use it for specific things that I know is okay, and then that's it. Don't dare try anything
yeah,
else. So
I know. I think it's one of the mediums that you either love or you hate.
yeah,
And
I think so. I think it's one of those things that people don't use a lot as well, if you know what I mean. Like, I think it's not as sort of readily
yeah,
available that people just don't really take the risk on it as well, if you know what I mean. They just think, oh, I'd rather just get some watercolours that I know, or use some acrylic or whatever that I know. Um, is there anything that
yeah.
is there any medium that you haven't used before that you would like to try?
Um, I think for like you have to have like person, what is it called? Like certain oils and that for them, and obviously it's quite good.
I think your audio
Um,
just cut out a little bit there. I think you're talking about oils, but
so
I didn't quite catch everything you said. Um,
is that fine there?
what was that, sorry?
Can you hear it? Can you
So
hear it?
so, a little bit. It's quite crackly.
Right.
Um, I don't know if you can come any like kind of closer, or is it like a thingy?
Yeah, is that better?
Yeah, that's loads better, I think, actually. Okay, try that
Right,
again.
can you hear it now?
That's better than it was, but it's still a bit crackly. But we'll try that again. So tell me about a media that you've never used that you would like to.
Like oil paint, I would like to try, but I think that you need like kind of certain solutions to mix the paint with because you can't really mix them with water, like turf and what you call like certain types of oils and that you need to like water them in that, and it just seems like the whole smell and that and working in this small space like 35 day at the minute, but
Yeah,
I would definitely like to try it in the future.
I'm the same actually. I've never used oils before, but I would like to. But I think it's just one of those things where it's like not like anything else. So if you haven't, if you've used watercolor before, you can sort of use acrylic in a similar way, or a lot of water-based paint you use,
Mm-hmm.
like you kind of know what you're doing with it. But with something like oil, where you're like, I can't use the same techniques that I'm used to. I don't know what these materials do, and you need so many other things. It's like, where do you start? Almost, it's like not just trying to make a something that looks nice. It's like trying to wrestle with a media that you don't understand properly as well. So I totally get that. I would love to try, but it's just finding the time, space, and you know all of that stuff really.
Yeah,
So
yeah, one more take those changes with oils as well. After like layers to dry, which can take like days, and that
definitely,
oils take absolutely ages to dry.
yeah.
And apparently, some like Monet paintings took about a year or two to dry when you finish them.
Oh my
Like,
god, I didn't know that,
so,
but I did know they took ages. That's crazy.
yeah, but I
Imagine,
use like a palette knife, so I use quite thick layers, so that's
yeah,
fair enough. So,
yeah. Um, have you ever used tempera before?
I don't think so.
As I made it once, in when I did my foundation, and it was quite interesting. Um, but it's like, say frescoes and stuff in churches or like cathedrals and stuff. That was probably painted with egg tempera, and it's like really, it's quite fragile, so it's why a lot of those kind of paintings don't exist. They just get deteriorated so quickly. But I actually made some tempera,
Mm-hmm.
and you make it using like egg yolk. You have to like pick the yolk out of the egg like this, and then like add pigment to it, like powder pigment or whatever. It was like really strange. It was like such a faff on for like one tiny little bit of paint as well. Like it must have just taken so long to make like big batches of like egg tempera, and it must just dry so quickly. And I was like, it made us have like, I mean, I love medieval art and things like that, but it really gave us a new respect for all of that stuff, and just thinking like this is a real faff on, like this is annoying. So, but it's fun if you like.
It sounds like it, especially if you want to make a new colour.
It's fun, like
Want to
you
mix the colours together.
like if you like mixing pigments, and if you like choosing like your own colours and stuff, and having control over exactly what colour you like, or if you wanted to choose specifically where your pigments come from and stuff, then you might like it and it'll be interesting, but it's just bizarre. It's so weird. But you should definitely look it up though, because it's pretty cool.
I'll have to do something.
So we've talked about art quite a lot, but just wanted to ask you if you've sort of picked up any other hobbies outside of art or anything recently, tried anything new, or done any new, well, anything really.
I think the newest thing that I've just picked up recently is photography.
Is what, sorry?
I like taking photos. Photography.
Oh, nice, yeah. Oh, you did Daniel's photography course, didn't you?
Yeah,
I saw some of your photos
yeah,
actually. They're really, really good.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, they're great.
I think reference photos to combine in art as well. So it's like gives us ideas and inspiration.
Your audio just cut out again there, so can you try that again,
Did
please?
it?
Yeah, try that again.
Can you hear it now?
Yes.
Right. Yeah, because I like people as it gives us like references and inspiration from our own art. Because since I've been in lockdown, I've been walking while I go to like bridal ways and bits of like foresty paths and like woods and that, and I've been like wandering around there just taking bits of photos and that. I get a lot of like fungus and bits of like mushrooms grown there and that, and they've got some pretty cool textures. So
that sounds really cool. That sounds awesome. I was one of those people that wanted to try and like bike ride loads in lockdown, and I tried for the whole of lockdown to find a bike, and then just never found one that I liked or whatever. Managed to find one for Scott, my boyfriend, and like even though I went for that bike for me, I tried it and it was too big, so he's like, oh well, I guess I've got a new bike then. And then so it took me months to find a new one, but I've finally got a bike that I like now, and so I've been going on some bike rides and stuff around, and trying to take like photos while I'm out, and trying to make the most of being in nature while it's still, you know, while the weather's still a little bit okay and stuff before it gets really freezing and things. But it's interesting to, you know, be out in nature when the seasons are changing, and there's lots of good things to photograph at the minute and stuff.
Yeah, I think autumn's one of the biggest seasons, so it's quite nice to get a chance to walk around and do stuff like that at the minute, especially as we're going into some sort of other lockdown now. It's like, we can't really do much else. So
yeah. But it's been nice to sort of have an excuse to go outside and to, you know, still experience being out and stuff before. I just hope that, you know, if we do end up in another lockdown or something like that, that it won't last for too long, and it won't be that we'll be fully trapped inside and we can't go out because it's too cold and too dark and stuff like that. So in a way, I'm glad that, you know, if it is going to happen, it's going to happen hopefully soon.
yeah. No, because like when we are locked down, we're going to stay in the summer months. more
Mm.
if this happens. If we had a lockdown now, that we had in the past, like, I don't know what people would do. Like,
I know.
it would be horrible.
I know.
Yeah.
So I hope it doesn't happen. But is there anything else that you've been up to? Any other sort of cool stuff that you found interesting or anything like that?
I have been trying a little bit of doing maths. And they made someone else like so like that.
That's cool. So what kind of stuff?
I think I'm trying to think what I made. I made one of rice dishes. I think I made oatmeal cookies. I had to try the cheesecake. So cheesecake was my favourite dessert. So I had to try it.
What kind's your favourite?
Cheesecake.
Mhm.
I would have to say lemon for me.
It's a good choice. It's a solid choice, I would say.
Yeah, or chocolate. Depends.
They're both classics. You can't go wrong with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're good choices. It's making us think about it now, though. But no, yeah, that's really cool. So let me think. I did have a list of things to talk about with you, questions, so I'm just going to refer to it now. Okay, I'm going to go slightly backwards to art again. So what would you think about ever, sort of selling any of your work online or doing any commissions or anything like that? What do you think about that?
I'm not quite sure, to be honest. Maybe in the future. It just depends. Like, on my some art, I'm not quite sure we're doing like commissions and that. Because with my time scale, like, even though I'm producing quite a bit of art at the minute, like, if I was on a time scale, it stresses out a little bit. And I don't know if you know this, but I have like joint problems and that amount of it, and it might come to where I like injure myself again with that. So
Yeah.
I have like really bad health, so I think I would have to be careful about that.
Yeah. So that's fair. Like, you wouldn't want to sort of feel like you had to rely on it so much that you were, ending up putting yourself out because you felt like you had to and stuff like that. So I definitely see that. But I mean,
Yeah.
you could always continue just making work as you are and use things, like Society 6 or websites like that, like Redbubble and stuff like that, where you could just upload your designs and stuff. And I've been thinking about doing it for ages, but then just I've never got round to it. But I know of some artists who make a living through those kind of sites and stuff, selling like crazy things like bedding and things like that, or curtains and stuff, because people just like their work that much that they're happy to sort of pay for that kind of thing. So that would be something definitely worth looking into. And I mean, I know that obviously you've got a big interest in fashion and textiles and stuff, so you could always design specifically for fashion or textiles and stuff. So something to think about.
Yeah, definitely something to think about. I think I'm just going to continue publishing my art out there and seeing how it goes and that. And if there's a big interest that I might think about as well at the minute, I think I'm just going to leave it. Like, I might sell some originals and that in the future. You never know, things can change. So.
Yeah, definitely. Do you still sort of design for textiles or fashion or anything like that at the minute, or are you concentrating mainly on sort of fine art?
Not at the minute. like 2 years ago, I hadn't really been up with art, and I never drew for 8 months. So, and I've been like fashion and but I think some of my art, like some of my interest in like fashion and textile and stuff, do kind of interlink with my fine art. So I'm definitely gonna be picking it up in the future, but I don't think at the minute until I have a little bit more space and time to do something like that. I'll be really rusty at it by now.
So, I mean, I'm super interested in fashion and textiles as well, and I think that you can definitely have an interest in those kind of areas without, actually producing anything yourself. But I know that, I think once you start, I think both of us, maybe we could describe our dress sense as maybe loud, perhaps. But I think once you're sort of in that sort of area, you sort of do start to think about how, what you would wear if, you could just make anything, or, stuff like that. And, I know I would love to get more into, potentially making things, just because, you see something and you're like, that's far too expensive, I can never afford that, or I'll never find one of those, or whatever. And it would just be great to make something or whatever. But I mean, obviously if you're not pursuing it at the minute, but would you have any advice for somebody that does have an interest in, maybe making garments or looking into textiles or anything like that? Do you have any advice for somebody like that?
Try to think, just try to learn as much as you can. If you like, especially if you try to into business, somebody knows a lot about pattern cutting or so on, just ask lots of questions, even if you think they're more stupid questions, they're best to try to absorb as much as you can.
Yeah. I mean,
with someone and that, keep practicing all you can do.
Do you think that you have to just keep making stuff to get better? Like, do you think you just have to keep going and just practice all the time?
I think this is good because it's like skill, but it depends on things you can make as well. So when I was learning to learn, I was really rather than just sounded like things. I would practice French things in the cotton, shift on and just like all the types of materials I would be used for until I'm like pushed. Like you do get there eventually, but it takes a lot of time and practice, and normally just try to take your time with it as well.
Yeah.
Try not to get frustrated with it.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what kind of puts people off with it as well.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I know I would love to sort of start, but it just seems like such a big sort of world of things that you almost don't know where to start. I don't have a sewing machine. I've never made any garments before or anything like that, and I think it can seem quite overwhelming. It's just almost like a dark art, and like the people who are good at it are like really good at it, and people who, I feel like it's just almost like you either don't do it or you do, and you do it really well, if you know what I mean. There's almost no in between. So maybe it's just that people try it and then get frustrated, or maybe everybody that doesn't do it, that wants to do it, is just so in awe of everybody that can, that they're just like, wow, it's so amazing. So I don't really know, but I mean, for me, I always just sort of wonder, like, where do you start? So I don't know.
I think as well, I don't think people want more pattern cutting. I want some really good pattern cutting, but don't know how to sew whatsoever, and vice versa. So instead of trying to learn both at the same time, might be helpful, but both of them can help interlink, because when I started pattern cutting, like a thing, I could talk about pattern cutting all day, but I'll be patterning riddles if I start. But it helped when I started sewing, it helped me understand how the garment functions. It can be complicated because it's the basics, like just doing like the bodice pattern or like shirt, it's like perfect to start with. But you've got that interest, or like to start with a t-shirt, like obviously from what I've done it before, it might new to them, but it might be a little bit boring. So I think like something like a shirt is very new, but like maybe something a little bit more complicated to do women's wear, that like skirt, like simple skirt or paired trousers, and like I just basically starting off small and just building up, I would have said.
That's good advice. Okay, so I think I'm gonna maybe start wrapping up since we're kind of getting close to 5. But I don't know if there's anything else that you particularly want to talk about, or if you want to plug your Instagram or anything like that, then you're more than welcome to.
I think obviously some people in the chat might already know, so my Instagram is at lavender pronounced Matthew. So if you do want to check it out, you can check it out there.
Okay, awesome. So, I mean, I already follow you, and I think that your work's great. Hatham just told me that you had fully set up your Instagram and stuff, so I was like, oh, I've got to go and find it. So, but yeah, so if anybody does want to go and find Charlotte on Instagram, she's well worth a follow. She creates spooky, dark, curly, creepy things that are just so cool. So, so yeah, definitely go and follow Charlotte.
Thank you.
So yeah, I think that is all from us today. Small updates. We've got a pretty cool announcement coming from Media Savvy this week, so keep an eye on our social media channels for that, because it's going to be pretty cool. And other than that, obviously our email inboxes are always open and stuff like that, so if you've got a question for us, just let us know. So thank you for tuning in, and thank you to Charlotte for being such a superb guest.
You're welcome.
All right, so yeah, I think that's pretty much all for today. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you at the end of the week, if not in one of our other streams coming up. So bye for now.
Bye.